sky like this ain't seen too often in the summer season in the Sunshine State, to which its rails I welcome you back. It's the 7th of August 2021, and we're headed north on Interstate 75 to the CSX S-Line to chase a very specific train. As I mentioned, driving north we have a completely blue sky today, which would make for a great day overall. We'd hop off I-75 about Ridge Manor as the Dade City defect detector would come through the radio, letting us know that there was something coming north. So we pulled into the control point of St. Catherine to shoot the northbound Q220, nightly mixed freight commerce out of Taft near Orlando, up to Waycross, Georgia, where the manifest is dropped, and then auto racks are taken from there to Montgomery, Alabama. An odd service design, but it works. And obviously his Orlando departure the night before was a little late, because he's passing here in any kind of daylight, 9:50 a.m. Pacing the Q220 through Bushnell, our final destination as of now was Lake Panasaki, so we thought we'd follow this guy up there, and we would beat him there, so we'd shoot him again.
Q220 06 clear, Lake Pan, North Lake Meadows,
Dispatch tracks with Q220 06, over.
2006, over.
Day 1, going number 2 at Turnpike, meeting southbound call train, over.
Alright, number 2, turn right, thank you.
Alright, CSX dispatch route.
Q220 day, clear Coleman Rock, North Lake Meadows, 260, 54, coming out.
As you may have heard in the dispatch conversation as he was passing here, Q220 was to meet a southbound coal train at Turnpike about 10 miles north of our position. And I'll just spill it now, the train we came for was a coal train. But it seemed a little early for the one we were here for to already be at Turnpike, and though I wasn't far from wrong, I was right. As soon over the radio came NO4005.
Alright, NO4005, over.
As needed coal loads from the Sugar Camp mine in Indiana down to the Stanton Energy Center in Orlando, Florida. But I didn't really like the idea of shooting it at Panasaki. It seemed a little tight there. So we moved back down to Bushnell to shoot this coal train coming south. The headlights showed up only a few minutes after we got there, and the train only a few later. Oh yeah, you know that whole speech I went on about how I wanted to chase an Orlando coal train from somewhere to the plant someday? Well, this is the kind of train that I would want to do that with. I'll spare you the details, but everything about the power to the coal itself is just perfect on this train. So with all that said, why aren't we chasing this coal train today? He's in almost perfect daylight, and perfect to me, so why are we not chasing this thing? Well, as much as I love these are running pretty often, with at least a few running into Orlando every week. But the one we're out to see, you'd be lucky to get twice a month.
Hello, 10, ready when you are, over. Alright, signal coming to you, you go in at Bushnell to meet a northbound, over.
It was right about now that our train of interest got his job briefing to leave where he stood, which we thought was Baldwin. And if that was the case, we knew we had plenty of time to play with, so I thought about following that NO40 south a little bit because of how much I did like it. That was until I looked up and saw another headlight to the north. And it's a good thing I made the call I did, because I realized after all of this that our coal train wasn't at Baldwin, but he had just gotten his new crew at Coleman, which is only just north of Lake Panasaki by about 5 miles. So we get north as much as we could before pulling off and getting our first shot of a train that we haven't since January of this year. For some of you, the rail cars alone will give this one away. This was NO10-02, as needed coal loads out of Evansville, Indiana, down to Tampa, Florida, and the Big Bend Power Station in Apollo Beach on eastern Tampa Bay to generate electricity for the Tampa Electric Company, or TECO for short. The reason that these trains are so unique is because of their very odd service design these days. I'll explain it all in just a little bit. But as of now, he's rolling into Bushnell Siding to stop at the south end to meet Q452 coming north out of Miami.
SXT NO10-02 south, locomotive 902, stop red signal, south at Bushnell Siding, south end.
3371, trying to clear south end Bushnell northbound out.
Very short Q452 today at only 2,200 feet. Not much to show for that one. But within seconds, the power switch was lined to the south end of Bushnell for NO10-02 to rumble out and south. And out of Bushnell, we ran. From Bushnell to St. Catherine, we had plenty of pacing opportunities.
NO10-02 south, locomotive 902, got a clear distance, St. Catherine, south end. NO10-02 south, locomotive 902, for St. Catherine Transit, south end. NO10-02 south, locomotive 902, Blue Ridge Manor, track 2. Safety, NO10-02 south, locomotive 902, clear north and lukuchi, south end.
Midway through Lukuchi Siding was our next stopping point, and as he passes here, I'll explain the whole service design thing with these trains. For a number of years now, Big Bend's coal demand has been severely low. Almost half of the plant has been converted to natural gas, so coal trains are not needed very much anymore, and the way that they handle this is kind of odd. These days, there's only one set of train cars going back and forth between the mine and the plant during the time they get shipments. So there are no other trains on the system going to or from Big Bend except for this one. And even then, this service is only run a few months out of the year. So they'll run the train back and forth for a few months, stop for a few months, then start again for a few months, and stop for a few months, and repeat. And they've just started the cycle again about a week before the making of this, and as of this new cycle, this is the first loaded train they're getting.
South, recommended 902, clear south of the
We would by no means beat him there, but Dade City was the next town to roll through.
SHT, NO1002 south, recommended 902, clear north end Dade City south.
CFX detector milepost 825.9er speed 45 no defects repeat no defects total axles 422 length 5570 detector out.
NO1002 south, locomotive 902, clear south in Dade City south. SHT, NO1002 south, locomotive 902, approaching Richland, track number 1, southbound.
About a mile ahead of us at Richland would be the train's turning point, Vitus Junction, where the train would make a southwesterly turn onto the Yeoman subdivision to run into Tampa via Zephyr Hills, Knights, Plant City, Valrico, and YN.
Got a approach medium. Vitus Junction, southbound, entering Yeoman sub.
We gave ourselves enough time to not get caught at either of the two chancy road crossings and pulled over at the second one to catch NO10 flying past.
NO1002 south, locomotive 902, got a clear distance up. SXT NO1002 south, locomotive 902, got a clear distance to Central south.
Ah yes, the final run down State Road 39 to the bottom. The last pacing stretch on our adventure, Plant City was our destination.
SXT NO1002 south, locomotive 902, clear. Knights DD, clear north end of Knights south.
Rolling down into Plant City, and even then, we just barely made it.
CSXT NO1002 south, locomotive 902, clear Sandler Junction, track 1, clear Plant City interlock, track 1, southbound. PSAT, NO1002 South, locomotive 902, clear. Market south.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have said Plant City was our destination, because that wasn't the train's destination. That would be Tampa. So in about half an hour, we'd find ourselves at 78th Street, rolling up to a K345 rolling into the yard, destined for Rockport Transloading Yard about 10 miles south on the Tampa Terminal subdivision. They're running him through the yard rather than the bypass track, since there's a bunch of signal replacements happening on the Tampa Terminal sub, and it's messing with the circuitry around there, so they're having to send trains around the more complicated side. The Bone Valley K train was only clear for about 10 minutes though, before the headlight of NO10 showed at the top of the hill, soon to pass the signals at YN.
Alright, y'all gonna put us down the ATA side on the bypass, or we going in the yard?
You're going in the yard, what they told me. They got this whole thing's in code field there. Not your part, but the rest of it's, I'm thinking you'll be going into the yard.
Alright, thank you, sir. Appreciate the heads up.
Rolling across the bypass canal, NO10 was to head into Yeoman Yard on track 3, where they would leave the train, where it would eventually get another crew to take it down the AZA side, the Tampa Terminal and Palmetto subdivisions, down to its final destination in Apollo Beach, the Big Bend power station and unloading loop. Then once everything's unloaded and another crew's ready, they'll send these cars back up to Evansville, they'll get loaded, and they'll come back down again. Only for a few months though, then they'll stop and maybe start up again in another few. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be out to see some more of those movements. But as NO10 rolls into the yard, I must thank you for sitting through part of this chase, and this is definitely one of my favorite train chases to date. Even though unfortunately we couldn't do the full chase down to Apollo Beach because there was no crew set to get on this day, but again, hopefully in the future. Thanks again, y'all, and hopefully sooner than later, I'll see y'all out there on the Sunshine State Rails.